There is something that felt different with Astalon. I spent my time during the playthrough enjoying the aesthetic and challenging combat, but I found myself growing frustrated from constantly starting at the game's opening, which required me to backtrack after each death. So I even considered putting the game down, but that challenge in it kept my interest. So as I progressed further, I began to care less about dying and was actually happy to be rewarded by purchasing upgrades or items from Epimetheus. And by the time I reached the mechanism area, which is the second point in the game, I had almost completely stopped being bothered by the backtracking. So I thought to myself, why? Well, I came up with a few answers that helped me solve this. I realized that I kept finding myself making good progress, but would begin to get anxious as I would have low health and have not reached a fast travel point in a long time. Luckily, Astalon offers many opportunities to open paths as you make your way to that next elevator stop. This prevents you from having to return to rooms you no longer need, and it also creates my first talking point, the shortcut routes. When I say shortcut routes, I'm talking about the scenarios when you open a door or clear blocks out of your way to create a new path. A good example of this is in the Ruins of Ash. Let's say I died and had to take the teleporter to this location, which I did, so I was unable to go up as the path was blocked. So I had to go all the way around to continue progressing. If I were to get to this room and choose to go left, then I would miss my opportunity to open a quicker route. This would prevent me from having to go through all these rooms again if I died. Now say I were to go down 2 rooms instead, I would be back where I began and can open the pathway forward. And there are plenty of other examples I could choose from every area. I always made sure to do this, because I don't want to spend my time backtracking in an area that doesn't offer any value. Sure, you don't have to do a puzzle again, defeat a mini-boss for the second time, or recollect an item, but it still takes time and you can take unnecessary damage instead of just going the shorter route. Knowing that there would always be an opportunity to create a shortcut made the backtracking less repetitive. Say I were to die before opening one of these shortcuts, then yes, I would be forced to return to the same rooms and slowly work my way forward. But that was part of the challenge, and each time I returned to the same area with full health, I was more likely to venture off and explore. And when I would come across a locked door but with no key, I knew I needed to take another route to continue the way forward, and this would take me in all sorts of directions. The area that I got caught up in the most was definitely toward the beginning of the mechanism. The first thing I noticed when entering that area was that there were 3 paths I could take. I would go up and find that I needed a white key to continue going that way. There were 2 other routes I could take, and that is when I realized I was really starting to warm up to the game. I ended up exploring much of the lower half of the mechanism, as well as areas in the Gorgon tomb that I couldn't get to before. After some time, I realized I should probably be going up, and remember that I still needed that white key. So to do that, all I needed to do was go this path. But instead, I got sidetracked and decided to explore the world further. During this little journey, I realized that each time I died and had to return to the opening room in the mechanism, I would always look for a different path just out of curiosity. So because the game forced me to return to areas after dying, I was given new opportunities to go different routes that I probably wouldn't have if I just restarted in that same room. It's almost like the game was subtly pushing me in these directions and was expecting me to fail plenty. During my time in the early parts of the mechanism, I didn't find any items that were necessary to progress. All I needed was that white key. However, in the Hall of Phantoms, I actually did need to find the Griffin Claw to continue progressing, and they really became a staple of the gameplay as I got further in the story. But when I first got them, I never thought to go back and look at some of the areas I wasn't able to get to before. Then I remembered if I died, I have to restart anyway, so I might as well visit some previous rooms. I decided to go back to when I first entered the Hall of Phantoms. Now, I could continue going up in this room here, and I took this newly open path to where I found a teleporter. Prior to finding the Griffin Claws all the way over here, I did not have access to this room of teleporters, which is honestly one of the only areas in the game I reached a dead end at. When I found the teleporter using the Griffin Claws, I expected to find some kind of reward, but that ended up not happening. The real reason I even found this teleporter area was because of the ease of backtracking in Astalon. Most games would require you to go through rooms you've already visited to get to wherever it is you might need to go, and the majority of these rooms probably don't offer any value either. What separates Astalon from this is that you start in the same place after every death, rather than outside a room or at a saving point, so it opens up the opportunity to go somewhere else with ease if you wanted to take a break from that main objective. I was definitely worried during the beginning of my playthrough, but once I activated the first 2 elevators, that issue began to fade away. I think a lot of Metroidvanias could benefit from using this style of gameplay, and in my opinion, Astalon did backtracking right when it is usually a con for most games. I will definitely be keeping a lookout for more titles produced by these developers. I hope you all enjoyed this more in-depth type of video. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on Astalon and any suggestions you may have for me. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll continue to try and get videos out weekly. So until then, peace out.